What's important about thinking traps is that they are not random. They often form around what you fear most: rejection, failure, abandonment, humiliation, loss of control. In that way, thinking traps are protective. They are trying to keep you safe from pain. But the protection often costs you peace. The mind's safety strategies are not always aligned with your well being. They may reduce uncertainty but increase suffering. So the goal is not to eliminate difficult thoughts forever. That's not realistic, and it often becomes another form of control. The goal is to develop mental flexibility, to recognize when a thought is a prediction rather than a fact, an interpretation rather than reality, a habit rather than wisdom. In CBT, this is sometimes called cognitive restructuring, but it doesn't need to feel technical. It can be gentle. It can be a quiet willingness to question the first story the mind tells. A simple way to work with thinking traps is to ask small, compassionate questions. Not aggressive interrogations, just honest checks. What is the evidence for this thought? Is there another explanation that's also possible? Am I assuming I know what someone thinks? Am I treating a feeling as proof? Is this thought helping me respond wisely, or is it only making me more afraid? Even one question can loosen the trap, because thinking traps work best when they are unquestioned. Mindfulness adds another layer. Sometimes, instead of immediately challenging the content of the thought, you can first notice the process. This is catastrophizing. This is mind reading. This is fortune telling. Naming the pattern creates distance. It helps you relate to thoughts as mental events rather than commands. You don't have to fight the thought. You don't have to obey it. You can observe it. And in that observation, you regain choice. This is often the most peaceful form of change. Not forcing positivity, not arguing with the mind, but gently stepping back and seeing the thought for what it is. A protective reaction, not a prophecy. Because the mind is not always trying to tell the truth. Sometimes it is trying to prevent pain. It produces urgency, certainty, and harsh conclusions because those feel safer than uncertainty. But when you recognize the pattern, something shifts. You begin to see that you don't have to follow every thought to its end. You don't have to build a life around a fear-based prediction. You can let the thought arise, acknowledge it, and choose a calmer response. This doesn't mean nothing will ever go wrong. It simply means your inner world doesn't have to suffer in advance. It means you can meet life as it comes, rather than living inside a constant mental rehearsal of worst-case outcomes. And over time, this is what psychological freedom looks like. Not a mind without difficult thoughts, but a mind that isn't trapped by them. A mind that can hold uncertainty without panic. A mind that can feel fear without turning fear into identity. A mind that can notice the trap and quietly step out of it. Not every thought is a fact, and you don't have to believe everything you think. Sometimes the most important growth is simply learning to pause between a thought and your trust in it. Are there specific topics you're interested in, or a particular question you'd like answered in your life? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe now and join me on your journey toward more clarity and inner strength.